has the pledge and four-way test. If that is incorrect, please shake your head violently at me. All right. Randy has the prayer. Linus has the four-way test. Randy, please lead us in our invocation this morning.
All right, let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this absolutely gorgeous day. We thank you for allowing us to be here. Father, this food, we're thankful for the people that prepared it and for the blessing that it is to our body. But God, we in this time where we're in a pandemic, country is got a lot of questions. Father, we ask that you bless our leaders, let them get over the partisan politics that's going on. And Father, we just ask that you bless them, rise up good leaders who make good decisions. But Father, we're grateful for Rotary and the opportunity to serve. Give us more opportunities to be able to show others how to do it right and how to lead by example and lead by service. Father, we're grateful for Jesus, and through his name we pray. Amen.
And Linus.
Please face the flag and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Jane Covington will introduce guests and visiting Rotarians. Jane, take it away.
Okay. We'll start with Jason Cook. He has Nellie with us today, and I'm going to let him introduce his guest.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful to be here as always, and I am honored to be here and also honored to have my significant other, Nellie, from Uganda originally, and she was kind enough to come with me on this very important day, so please welcome her, and it's, again, always a pleasure to see you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Nellie. Where is Larry in the room? He may be outside, but I don't think she really needs an introduction, but Larry's wife, Sue, is with us today. Yay, Sue. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom have a guest? No Zoom guests? We have some of the cutest guests that I've ever seen in the back of the room, but they'll be introduced here in just a bit. So I think that's it for guests. And now we will transition to Happy Bucks. Anybody happy today? Look at the basket.
I see some tails wagging, but I don't think they have bucks to put in the basket.
Anybody?
I'm happy.
Jonathan is happy. So okay. Here's some Zoom happiness. Let me get Jonathan real quick because I see dollars. Awesome. Anybody else? Oh, Sheila. Sheila is happy.
I have to do a Venmo. I don't carry cash with me. Where's Charles? He understands that. No. I'm happy because next week my daughter graduates as a doctor of OT from Belmont, and she's the last one off.
Anybody else? Okay, so on to the Zoom happiness.
Awesome. Hey, Sarah? Everybody. Yes, that's Sarah. And I have $2. There you go. But wanted to just mention to everybody that I sent around an email to all club members, and I also sent it to our past club members. With the Inclusion Playground, we would love your input. The city has set out a survey asking for some ideas for how to design this playground. What type of zip lines or swings or those types of things that you'd want to see. So we're asking everybody to participate. If you have grandchildren, you know, you love your grandchildren love to play on a playground, you know what types of apparatuses they loved to play on as well. And if you have children, most definitely get your children involved. Ask them to pick pictures and what they would like. So we would love for everybody to participate in the survey. It's not a long one. It's about 10 minutes at most. And it's going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks. So if everybody could participate, it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Any other happy bucks? Let's move on. All right. Couple of announcement reminders. If you are interested in attending Roger Wheelwright services at Arlington National Cemetery in July 14th, I believe is the date. Let me know, please, by the end of this meeting. Either send me an email if you are joining remotely, or come up and tell me after this meeting. I need to get those names to Irene, at least a head count to Irene ASAP. Also, a reminder, if you are interested in participating in the Rotary Club of Brentwood American History Bowl Challenge team, please let me know that by Monday. So Roger Wheelwright services in Washington, D.C. by today after this meeting, and History Bowl participants, let me know by Monday. Sherry Koss asked me to let you all know Cliff, her husband's surgery was last week, as we talked about. The procedure actually went well. The recovery has been much more difficult than anticipated. So she would definitely appreciate our prayers as they continue to recover. He was at Vanderbilt a little longer than expected. They are home now. But again, it's been a tough week for them. And now we have, in honor of our guests today, a very special round of trivia. All right, we're gonna do this quick. So if you don't answer pretty quickly, I'm gonna have to move on. But again, the rules are such. Question number 1 goes to the people in the room. You have a few seconds to answer. Anybody can answer. Just yell it out if you know the answer. If you don't get it, we're not even going to give the Zoom team a chance because we gotta make this one quick. So if you get it right, great, you get a point. If you get it wrong, you don't. And we go to question number 2 for the Zoom team. If you are in the room, don't answer the Zoom team's question. If you are on Zoom, don't answer the in the room's question. All right, here we go. In honor of our guests today, normal adult dogs in the room team have how many teeth? How many teeth does a typical adult dog have? 3, 2, 1. Oh, I heard something close. What was that?
32.
That would be close, but it is not correct. 42 is the correct number. 42 teeth, normal adult dog. Puppies have something like 32, but adults, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now. All right, Zoom team. Zoom team, through what part of the dog's body does he or she sweat? What part of the dog's body sweat?
The tongue. Tongue.
I have no idea what that person said or who that person was. Susie's saying tongue.
That's what he
Technically,
was
that's
saying.
not sweat. That's their saliva. But there is a part of the dog that sweats.
No.
Paw pads.
Paws. They sweat from the pads on their paws. But most of their cooling, most of their temperature regulation, of course, does come from panting. So Susie was kind of right. I'm going to give you 1/4 of a point. In the room team, what's the most common training command taught to dogs? The most common training command is sit. Drew, you are correct. 1 point to 1/4 point. Zoom team. What is a dog's most highly developed sense?
Smell. Smell. Smell.
You are all correct. Everybody who answered that one is correct. Smell is their most highly developed sense. All right, 1.25 to 1. What is the favorite dog breed of Queen Elizabeth II? Corgi. Sybil is on it. All right, this is a tight race. Zoom. What dog breed is the world's smallest dog breed?
Chihuahua.
Correct. Dick Bowers got it. Chihuahua. I love it. We are so smart about dogs. All right, here's where we go up a little level in difficulty. In the room, which dog breed was once known as the St. John's Newfoundland? This is a multiple choice question. A, the Newfoundland. B, Golden Retriever. C, Labrador Retriever. Or D, Poolie. It's definitely not D. What do we have? A would seem like it would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? No, it is C. Dale is correct. Dale got it. Labrador Retriever used to be known as the Lesser Newfoundland, the St. John's Water Dog, the St. John's Dog, or the St. John's Newfoundland. I don't know what the score is, but nobody cares. Number 8 for the Zoom team. What is the name of the dog on the front of a Cracker Jack box? What's the name of the dog on the front of a Cracker Jack box? I'll give you a multiple choice. How about that?
Bingo. You're on mute, Keely.
Keely, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Zoom team, this is your chance. This is your chance to come back and clutch victory from the jaws of defeat. In 2020, last year, what was the most popular dog name according to Prudent Pet Insurance? This is a multiple choice question. A, Bo. B, Jack. C, Bella. D, Ryan Fleecrest. E, Jabba the Mutt. Or F,
Bella.
Benedict Cumberbatch. It's not D, E, or F. So is the correct answer either A, B, A, Bo, B, Jack, or C, Bella?
My dog's name, Bella.
Sarah Johnson says Bella. She's correct. Bella was the #1 dog name in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what that means. We need a tiebreaker question. So unmute yourselves on Zoom. It's weird how every game ends in a tiebreaker question, isn't it? Unmute yourselves. The first person to say their name and answer this question correctly wins it for their team. What long-running British TV series had a dog named K9 who was also a robot? Linus, what is the long-running British TV series? Doctor Who. You got it. The winner, the In the Team Room. Congratulations, in-person team. And with that, you will all be happy to know that I'm done with trivia and we get to do more important things. We have a very special induction today. So Jane Covington is going to come up and introduce our newest member, who also might not be all that new, as it turns out. Jane.
Thank you, Keely. So our not so new member really needs no introduction because he was a member of our club up until 2018. So I'm sure you'll all recognize Jason Cook. He works for Frontier Communications, and due to some changes in his job, he moved to the downtown club for a few years. So he's remained a Rotarian, and he realized just how cool we were, and so has taken the opportunity to come back to the Cool Kids Club. So we're thrilled to have Jason back. I'll let him say a few words, but just really happy that Jason has rejoined our club.
Thank you, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's always good to be amongst this august body of true servants of the community, people that really make a difference in the world. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to once again be here to serve alongside with you. And I guess it feels like I'm home now, doesn't it? So this is the 5th time I've become a quote-unquote new Rotarian. So consider my back and forth trips that I've made here in Tennessee. But again, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Welcome, Jason.
Welcome back, Jason. We are very glad to have you. Jason, another little point of trivia, possibly the most active member even when he wasn't a member here. All right, and now Jennifer Bourne has the honor of introducing our guest speaker. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jennifer, for keeping me straight. I'm a moron and forgot that Larry Kane needs a few minutes to talk about the golf tournament. Sorry, Larry. This is why you have a team.
Thank you, Jen. Just a real quick update on golf. We're 6 weeks in since we announced it. Here's some numbers for you. Last year, we had 71 major sponsors. As of today, we have 25. That's good. Good number. We've done a great job with that. Last year, we had 104 hole sponsors. Today, we have 8. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that there's 96 hole sponsors from last year that we have not contacted yet. So please, as I said before, do not dally and wait until August to try to get these sponsors, because there are going to be a gazillion golf tournaments this year. There were none last year. We were very lucky. And that's why we made our money, because we didn't have any competition for selling sponsorships. This year, we're going to have all kind of competition. So the later you wait, the more likely to get that no when you ask somebody about buying a sponsorship. So if you had a sponsor last year, please go ahead and call them, contact them, ask them to re-up, ask them to get a bigger sponsor if they want to. We need those sponsors. I want to recognize one guy who cannot be here. He had a family situation come up yesterday, but Steve Huff, one of our new members, brand new member, has already sold 2 major sponsors. Obviously, they're new sponsors for the tournament, which is even better. And he said he's got more coming. I said, how are you doing this? He said, I'm just calling the guys I know that I think would sponsor. It's kind of like what old Jared said, just ask. That's all it takes, just ask. Thank you.
All right, now keep me straight. Have I missed anything else? It's very possible. All right, no. Jennifer, on to you.
Okay, so it is my privilege, and I'm just thrilled to introduce to you our speaker today. Before I go into the official introduction, just a little backstory. Jeanine and I met a few months ago, and she told me her story of you guys are going to hear today. And I was so excited about the story that we have done a lot of community involvement here at Brentwood. She is one of the grantees. Is that what you call, Larry? From the BRCCF. And I'm just so excited. as you see the dog, that introduces it a little bit, but a more formal introduction. She is with Comfort Connections. It's a nonprofit organization whose mission utilizes golden retrievers to create compassionate connections. It is these connections that promote empathy, understanding, comfort, inclusion, and acceptance. Their founder, Jeanene Hupy, who is here today, is an avid dog lover, received her field education with therapy dogs in the aftermath of Sandy Hook Elementary tragedy. She was a canine handler for one of the dogs that welcomed the students back into the school. In the 4 years she was at Sandy Hook, she witnessed firsthand how the dogs possess an innate ability to calm and understand. Gathered around the comfort dog, she saw that it increased socialization, the kids, encouraged communication, and improved self-esteem and promoted a sense of empathy. She has since moved to Brentwood. She lives next door to Larry and Sue, which we connected pretty quickly in our conversation. We realized that. And we are thrilled to have her here in our community to share with us. So come on up.
Okay, as we walk up, first of all, it is so nice to see y'all today. We applaud your commitment to our community, especially now that I am a Brentwood community member. Love every minute of it. As we do this, I'm going to walk. Actually, Sue's going to take Albie for me. So we are thrilled to be able to be here today. So as Jennifer said, I am the founder of Comfort Connections, and we are headquartered here in Brentwood, Tennessee. All the things that she said, very true, but I'll bottom line it for you. We're teaching comfort and love through the eyes of a dog. So she already said our mission, so we'll just bypass that. So we believe our mission is critical because of the crisis our society is facing today. We live in a world that is more connected than ever, yet individuals report feeling more disconnected. Depression, anxiety, loneliness, and isolation are at an all-time high, especially as it pertains to our youth. Teen depression has increased 59%, and suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34. Now, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention research indicates that 1 in 5 or 15 million children and young adults struggle with a mental illness or learning disorder. Furthermore, 1 in 3 of those, or 10 million, are undiagnosed and untreated. The overuse of technology is a major contributing factor directly linked to our mental health. With social media, we've forgotten how to connect. Both children and adults overuse technology by texting, Snapchatting, Facebooking, insert your favorite social media right here. And a lot of times we do it before we head to bed at night. And because we're constantly tied to our smartphones and computers, it's rare that now that we notice, and this does not pertain to you guys, because you guys are just an extraordinary group of people, but most people rarely look up and notice people who are going through difficulties and struggles. And here's the thing, it's not our fault. Now, Jennifer alluded to the fact that I was a handler. And so before I tell you how our program works, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about how I did receive my field education at Sandy Hook. I was living with my family in Connecticut when that tragedy occurred. And as you can imagine, when the news broke of those horrific events, our entire state was devastated. The surviving children who attended Sandy Hook Elementary were dealing clearly with extreme feelings of fear and depression and anxiety. And when the students finally returned to classes after nearly 2 months and at a borrowed school at that, they were greeted by nearly 14 golden retrievers, one of which I was a handler for. And as a member of the community and a volunteer handler for, at the time, Lutheran Church Charities, I couldn't have even imagined the impact that the golden retrievers would have on these traumatized children. Crisis counselors showed up by the dozens, but the students didn't really want to talk to them. They would, however, talk to the dogs. One student who shouldn't have survived that day was a first grade student in Vicky Soto's class. Now, as a reminder, Vicky Soto was the first grade teacher who was shot protecting her first grade students. Now, the only reason the student didn't die that day is because she was in the bathroom. She heard a lot of loud noises, and she went back to her classroom, saw something that no child, no human should ever see, and she ran. She ran for over 2 miles to a neighborhood that was nearby. So I met this student by a student counselor, a school counselor, and she was immediately drawn to Addie Comfort Dog, who was the dog I was handling. The school brought in a psychologist in the hopes that she would open up. She clearly didn't want to talk. But as it stood, we involved Addie Comfort Dog in her sessions with the psychologist, and that is when she opened up. And because of her unconditional love for Addie, I decided to include Paige on Addie's potty breaks, on her exercise breaks, and one of her favorite things to do was to brush Addie Comfort Dog. Now, for those of you who know golden retrievers, they shed a lot. So she would brush and brush and brush, and it took me about 2 weeks to realize that there was never any fur in the brush. I was like, okay. So I watched. And sure enough, that day, she was brushing and she took all the fur and she stuffed it in her pocket. And I said, sweetie, you don't have to do that. We can just throw it away. And she said, no, I'd rather keep it. So I mentioned it to her mom, and her mom said that she loved to bring, and had been for months, bringing all of Addie's fur home. And her mom even bought a special ceramic dish for her to put it in. So the thing that I couldn't imagine for Paige is that fur, just the fur, was a touchstone for her. It helped her feel calm, reminded her of unconditional love, and the big one here, that Addie would never hurt her. So I wanted to share this story because it does demonstrate a dog's ability to provide healing. As Jennifer said, they do. They possess this innate ability to help calm us and understand what we're going through. And it wasn't just Paige, the young lady, who felt that support. As a whole, we saw the student and faculty's stress levels diminish, compassion increase, and more importantly, we saw the Newtown community begin to heal. So after that tragedy, we as volunteer handlers were asked to provide comfort dogs at other local and national tragedies. And while I knew that we were providing comfort to those who were part of these awful events, I also saw that those we left behind are oftentimes not equipped with the skill set to continue caring for and comforting one another. And while it's important to just show up and facilitate, especially for students who've experienced such trauma, I realized that individuals required more tools to learn comfort as a skill. And to respond to the need for additional support, we at Comfort Connections helped launch an evidence-based program called Project Comfort. And the really cool thing is, our golden retrievers help us teach it. So we teach and provide comfort through this evidence-based program, and our program is broken down into 4 key sessions. And these sessions are customizable to fit the needs of any participants. Programs can range from lunch and learns to staff retreats to an entire year of school programming, both during in-school hours and after the day has ended. Now, through self-identification and situational analysis, participants learn how to find the right words and messages to help the receiver. Participants also learn to overcome barriers that we call the awkward zone. And they do this by taking intentional action to reach out to someone who is struggling. And in connecting with others, they use self-reflection and observation to help understand how others feel. And while other therapy dog organizations are very, very useful, what makes us unique and valuable is that we don't just show up. We have an amazing program that our golden retrievers help us teach, because oftentimes man's best friend is the best example of how we should treat one another. Think about it. They don't judge. They don't criticize. They don't gossip. They're amazing listeners. They don't interrupt. They're never too busy on their phones to listen. And they're always happy to see us and love us. And if nothing else, they always remind us of the importance of play. Whoops, sorry about that. It's not going. That's okay. There we go. So we serve a variety of different organizations, from public and private schools to youth organizations to companies of all shapes and sizes. We can provide one-on-one or group facilitation only, or we can guide participants through our entire Project Comfort program. In the past, I'd like to share with you, we did a lunch and learn with Sarah Cannon. And just because clearly, even as adults, sometimes we forget that when you're dealing with people that are consistently dealing with adversity, that they need some comfort too. So we went in, we took dogs and had a very funny lunch and learn. And the thing that they took out of this lunch and learn was that, I don't know why it hit me to do this, but they were all so tickled to see the dogs, and the dogs were running up. And I said, so let's stand up and let's all look at each other and greet each other the way that we think a dog greets us. Right, without the sniffing in inappropriate places. But it was so funny because they stood up, these very serious and staunch people, and they're wagging their tails and I'm so happy to see you. And they were just having a blast. And I stopped them and I said, so imagine showing up to that place every day to work. And they went, oh, that's really cool. They still do it. They call it their comfort dog greeting, and they still do it to this day. We also serve the West Nashville Dream Center. As if you're not aware of what they do, they serve a lot of our inner city and at-risk students. We're there weekly for 90 minutes. We also work with Preston Taylor Ministries, and we do after-school programming with them 2 hours weekly. And Camp Widgewagon has become a special place for us. They had a virtual school that they hosted for students, and they did it for parents who needed to work and while the kids were at home. So we were there 2 days a week for 4 hours. And one of our comfort dogs, Ian, who's, through the generosity of his sponsors, he is actually going to become a full-time staff member at Camp Widgewagon this summer. We're so excited. So if you can imagine him being available for all their campers, especially the homesick ones, we think it's going to be amazing. We also do something called our Gratitude is Golden Tour. And this is where we just show up, local healthcare facilities, police stations, fire stations, and we just show up to say thank you and let them love on the dogs. And and just say, we appreciate everything that you do, because a lot of times we forget about those folks who, again, deal with adversity, but have to deal with it in a very inward way because they're not given the opportunity. So these are just a couple pictures of the dogs doing what they do best. The last picture over there, that's Pia Comfort Dog in Denver. That young lady turned 101 years old, and Pia sees her every day. It's pretty amazing. So as we look at those smiles, it turns out that there's a whole lot of research that supports using canines to better our health. And they do more than just comfort. Countless studies have shown that just petting a dog for 20 minutes, here's what happens. Your heart rate lowers. Your blood pressure decreases. Oxytocin, dopamine, all those health-inducing hormones increase, which allows people to feel happier and more at ease. And petting a dog also decreases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can ease anxiety and isolation. And like Jennifer said, having, especially kids, when we gather them around a dog and just let them pet and love, those kids that don't typically talk will start to talk. And it also makes them feel better. It empowers them. And it does promote a sense of empathy within the group to one another. And so we aim to take more of a it takes a village approach by encouraging one another through difficult times. And it's not just our educators and our mental and health professionals that need support to foster this culture of comfort. Leaders in our community, businesses, and many other organizations will directly benefit from participants learning the skill of comfort, in that their current and future employees will learn the value of attaining a comfort toolbox. So we do offer a variety of unique corporate sponsorships and partnerships that provide a lot of marketing opportunities for your company. Corporate partnerships range between $5,000 and $15,000 and include various benefits from having your company's logo on the canine's vest, to the company getting to name the dog, to we come to the company and we host a company comfort dog day. We really do have something for everyone. We truly view it as a partnership, and we want to bring positive exposure to companies as a result of their support. We also offer school subscriptions and workshops to individuals or companies who are looking to sponsor schools or upcoming events. So we're often asked, how can folks get involved? Become a handler. Come and learn how to handle one of these awesome guys. I tell you what, it'll make your day. And these volunteers are specifically trained to handle our canines at community events. It's typically only one day of training. And we often ask that handlers do attend at least 6 community events. We also have comfort comrades. And these volunteers are mission critical and serve as community advocates at events. They help answer questions about our organization, pass out information, and host display tables at various events. And we also have summer and fall internships available. Those typically help us with social media and graphic design and website. So we would love for you all to serve as what we call a comfort connector. If you know of anyone that could benefit from our programs or just facilitation with the dogs, we would be most grateful for an introduction. And clearly, as a nonprofit, donations are always welcome. They allow us, our donations really don't go towards the dogs. A lot of people ask us how we care for the dogs. For example, we have Honey, who's laying here, and Kathleen is his owner, caregiver, and handler. She takes care of all of his expenses, and she is kind enough to volunteer with our organization. And Honey's kind of awesome. By the way, he's going to be 11 in June. He's pretty magical. But donations allow us to serve organizations and individuals that they just simply can't afford it. And especially as it pertains to our at-risk children who so many times can't find the comfort and the support and the encouragement that they need. And it would be also really great if you would follow us on social media. We're kind of hoping to get 500 followers on Instagram by the end of June. So at the end of the day, we're all surrounded by people who are hurting, from a neighbor who might be battling cancer to a coworker who just lost their mom, or even that classmate in the lunchroom who's always sitting alone. We need to slow down and look up at the people around us. And with our comfort dogs leading the charge, we're on a mission to create this culture of comfort. Our dogs serve as this amazing bridge to open up communication. They symbolize hope, compassion, and resiliency. Hope that we as humans will learn to recognize one another's adversities, compassion that we can take someone's adversity and collectively support them through it. And finally, resiliency, that we can all rise above difficult circumstances together. Our daily mantra that we kind of all hold on to is we rise by lifting others. So thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your thoughtfulness. And I want to also say I appreciate each and every one of you for your commitment to our community, because you've made it a pretty amazing place to live. So thank you so much. We'd be happy to answer any questions. And if there's no questions, we'll just let you love on the dogs.
Yeah, so if there are questions inside the room here for the in-person guests, I will bring the microphone to you if you have a question. If you're on Zoom, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Drew has our first question.
How old do you have to be a handler?
Typically, to be a handler, 21, and that's a liability issue. But as a comfort comrade, you can be any age. but we have to maintain an adult age for a handler.
So much. I noticed, I didn't see, and maybe you've done this, any like nursing homes or senior centers. Do you go there as well? Because I know they love to have it at the Heritage.
Well, clearly the pandemic, we just started a little over a year ago, and the pandemic really thwarted our efforts. But I will tell you, Hiccup here has made some visits to a nursing home. We are hoping that very soon they are going to let us back in here in Nashville. In Denver, our Comfort Dog Derby is actively working every day in assisted living care, and they're really, really advantageous in memory care units. Oh.
Question for those on Zoom was about the tornadoes in North Nashville and how the dogs were involved.
So we did. We went and we visited some folks, just if nothing else, just to show up and say, we see you, we're sorry. But the amount of people that, it's funny. I'm going to backtrack for a second. We visited some healthcare workers at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. We stood on the Sky Bridge and we stood at a shift change. The amount of folks that came out and dropped to their knees and just started to cry. They said, you know, you don't really know you need it until it's here. And that was the same thing with the tornado victims. We found that people were just, it's amazing how safe they feel just letting go. Because the dog, again, we talked about it. Dog doesn't judge them. Dog will stay with them as long as they need to let whatever out. So we found that to be pretty impactful. I know I also volunteered on a lot of cleanup crews there, and Albie joined me for that as well. And he became just as important to those of us who were out doing the work as well. So it was kind of an amazing time.
Anybody on Zoom with a question? Well, we're waiting for a Zoom question. Sybil's got one in person.
I was just curious. First off, my mother grew up in Newtown. Yeah, both my parents grew up in Connecticut. But anyway, do you work with dogs other than the golden?
We don't.
You don't?
We don't.
Curious.
And there's a reason. And Beth, who is handling Ian, is she's one half of our canine trainers. As just a real quick thing, and I'm going to let her field this question. I'll answer part of it, and then I'll let her do it. Goldens do things that we can't train them to do. For example, if Albie is meeting with a group of kids and one of them starts to cry, he will break a downstay to go to that kid. Can't train that. He just does it. Goldens have a pretty giant capacity to be incredibly emotional and emotionally intuitive. Not that other dogs aren't, but these guys, most dogs, like even a service dog or something like that, takes 2 years. Our dogs typically are working by 8 months. So, but I'm really quick just to kind of fill you all in. Beth is one of our canine trainers, and she can talk to you really quick about the training.
Thank you, Jeanene. So one of the big reasons we use Goldens, there are other dogs that are great for this, labs, poodles, sometimes doodles, things like that. But whereas we can get and train a Golden and have him, like Ian here has his in-training vest on, but he's only 8 months old. So we can get him out to events as early as, 5, 6 months, depending on the dog. Labs take about closer to 2 years to mature, whereas a Golden matures pretty quickly within a year. So they really have that lovable temperament. They're very in tune with humans, and they just work perfect for what we're looking for. They're very loyal and great. So it's nothing against any other breed. They just train really well. They train quickly, and they just also look like big teddy bears. So.
Any questions on Zoom?
Are they all male dogs?
No. This group is. But we have, how many dogs do we have now in Nashville? I think we have 11. And so our females, we have Pia and Winnie, Bali. Oh, we do. Sue and Larry. We actually, back in December, I got an 8-week-old puppy who had a deformity. And we knew her front right leg was going to have to be amputated. Sue and Larry can attest to this. She doesn't know that she's missing this leg. There's some challenges that she has, but I knew when I saw her story that we could use her, and she is going to be working with the Coalition for Amputees and American Blade Runners, who is another nonprofit who provides prosthetics for kids who cannot afford them. So she is one of our females. We did donate one of our females whose name was Esme. She was a pretty special dog who was geared towards service, and we donated her to one of my Sandy Hook kids who still struggles tremendously. So she is now a service dog for this young man. So.
Have time for another question or two. Any other questions? Oh.
Are your dogs in homes, or do you keep them together, centralized? How does that work?
No, we are really funny about this. Each dog lives in a home, and it's the beauty of our canine trainers. They are trained and raised in a home, not in a kennel. So we're very particular about this. Each one of our dogs has, and it's my preference that if there is a caregiver, that they also be their handler. It just makes life so much easier for the dog. The ministry that I worked with in Connecticut, we had 2 dogs and 37 handlers. Way too hard on the dogs. So for these dogs, we'll allow up to maybe 2 to 3 volunteer handlers. But in an ideal world, caregiver, handler are one and the same. It really does benefit the dog greatly.
Just some more information about the volunteering of being a handler. Like, how much responsibility is that? Because you just said, I think you made a point about, I guess, 1 or 2 people per dog. So what would a time commitment be like, and what would be the process for that if people would want to volunteer?
So we would train you a handler to, like, for example, pickup. So Reagan Alt is Pickup's caregiver and handler. Reagan works full time. So if there's ever an event that we have during the day, or if there's like a school tragedy that's happened where we take the dogs to a school just to comfort the kids, it's nice to have just that backup person that might be able to give us a couple of hours. So that handler would be trained on all the commands for the dog. These guys are really well trained. I think Sue can even tell you it's pretty easy. And as a handler, we would just ask that you at least like 6 community events a year. It's not a huge commitment. And then should you want to, we could also train you to be a program facilitator as well. Really helpful for some of you who might be involved in your church youth groups, or Boys and Girls Club, or Girl Scouts, or Boy Scouts. It's great to be trained. So there's a lot of different volunteer opportunities, but it's nice when you can do that and go with a dog. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Any other questions?
Sorry, I got caught up petting a dog. I'm already feeling that the good hormones increasing. Yeah. Any other questions before we finish up?
So before you all leave, because we know that you are all hardworking, amazing community members, it's kind of funny. We have stress balls in the back for you guys. Just a something little with our logo, but something, you know, that you can just kind of on a day think about it, and they do help. Or if you've got a dog that doesn't chew up, throw it for the dog. Either way, our business cards and those will be in the back for you before you leave.
Thank you so much, Jeanene. you. Awesome. And I'm assuming you can pet the dogs afterwards. I'm assuming that because I've already been petting the dogs. So, you know, scofflaw that I am. Yes, sir. Don't leave. Don't leave until you see Larry. Oh, no. I think up in front of the group. Wait, Larry?
Oh, there's a little check that might help. And we're certainly proud of you being here today. And we thank you for all you've done in our community and will continue to do. So.
Thanks again so much to all the handlers and all the canines and all that you guys do all year long. And that was an incredibly interesting and informative presentation. I'm so thankful for all the work that you do in our community. Again, reminder, if you would like to attend the funeral service for Roger Wheelwright, please let me know today. If you would like to be on the History Bowl team, please let me know by Monday. You can let me know today if you'd like as well. If you're tired of me doing trivia during the meeting, don't let me know. I don't care. Please keep all of our prayer concerns in your thoughts and prayers this week. And if there is no other business for the good of Rotary, please stay safe, stay healthy, and keep serving.
Bye-bye.